All right, good morning, everyone. Got a crowd. It's the biggest crowd we've had in a year or so. So obviously I can't get you to social distance. I'll get you to cough in your sleeve like we did in the old days. How about that? We're going to begin now. Let's start the way that we always start. Let's stand and have a prayer and a pledge of allegiance. Heavenly Father, we come today with a full roster and a full house, and that's a good thing. That's how we are a transparent organization. That's how we listen to folks from our constituent group, and how we are enabled to make better decisions. We pray for each item that's on this agenda, Father, that you grant us wisdom and guidance and direction, that the decisions we make would be in the best interest of the entire county. We turn this agenda over to you, Lord. Ask that you keep everything in line, keep it moving in the right direction. We just pray for calm exchange of information, and ask that each one of us be respectful of one another. And we pray for our servicemen and women, our first responders in this community. We pray for the safe return of those that serve our country and our state and represent even our county. Bring them home ultimately safely, Lord. Again, we thank you for the folks of this county. We thank you for how you have blessed this county. We pray for your continued blessing, protection, which is just a great place to live, and we thank you for that. In Christ's name, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, for the record, today is the 10th day of May, 2021. It's just after 9 o'clock. We're here for our first Commissioners Court meeting of the month. We begin with item number 1, which is an opportunity for public comments and or requests for information on non-agenda items in accordance with our Open Meetings Act. I know there are some folks here that would like to speak on a non-agenda item, and I think I have those identified here in our public participation form. And so whoever would like to speak in whatever order, I've got representing what appears to be the same subject matter is George Sanford, who's been with us and advised us in the past, and we have Celeste and Dr. Roger Stewart. So who would like to begin there? And George, if you'll make sure that is working, that switch is turned on, tap on it just to make sure we can hear you there, or not hear you, but get you recorded. Okay. If you'll tap on that. No. Pull that switch to you. There you go. I think I heard it go live.
Yeah. How's that?
That's good.
Yeah. You guys speak loud enough about that.
Well, we want it recorded is the primary reason, so folks watching this on YouTube can hear what you're saying.
All right. I don't live out on County Road 1130, but the other folks here, that's where they live, and they're friends of mine, and I volunteered, I guess, to come make a public comment. And the comment is that road was built to standards when the subdivision was put in. Class 3 roads in the state of Texas, you only have to have a 40-foot easement, and you only have to have a minimum 12-foot wide road surface. The problem is that one road is getting awful crowded with houses. And the prospect is they're fixing to add a lot more housing in there. They're starting to redo the utilities already. A road that's only 12 foot wide is not safe for the habitants down in there. If you got to get an emergency vehicle in there and somebody's parked on the side of the road, you can't pass. The people that live out there tell you right now, somebody is having a gathering and the road is blocked by the traffic from people that are parked there. You only got one-way traffic. And if it's an ambulance, they're not going to get through without getting over in the ditch. And that's the concern and the issue they got right now. Who would pay to help widen that road a little bit? How would it be done? I know that's got to go through the budget process. But to make sure that this is under consideration, the people that live out there wanted to come forward, speak to the county commissioners to see what can be done. Also, if heavy construction is going to be done, that road is going to fall to pieces. They start bringing big trucks down in there to do that construction. And that's the concern they've got with the road. There's also a lot of confusion right now who has jurisdiction out there. The city is incorporated the lake. Their jurisdiction, how far out does it go and what happens? We haven't been able to get a response yet from the city, but that also becomes another issue. But there's certain people who would like to come forward now and make their comments and give some additional comments on what they're looking for.
George pretty much said everything that I was going to say. I'm here mainly for accurate information. We're excited about the houses coming in. It's going to be an improvement on that land for what it's doing right now. In trying to get information Friday, I spoke to Mr. LaCroix with the city, and he's city planning and zoning. And he said that it would come under the he said it would come under the extraterritorial jurisdiction, which is that any land within a mile of city property or city limits would be under city jurisdiction. I don't know. My question is, who is it under? And then when he talked about that, he said they have very big concerns. One is drainage. All that water off of that property comes down to the ditch, and all of it comes to this creek down to us. You put houses and concrete there, it doesn't have any place to go. And so we need to make sure that drainage either goes to the west, to the lake or something. And then he mentioned the road. We literally have to slow down or someone stop to pass each other right now. The grass is that far over it. We have someone who lived there who would have meetings on Wednesday nights. You could not have gotten a fire truck through. There's no way you could. They could, and we have someone in a wheelchair on oxygen at the end of the road. And then the last thing he mentioned was fire and safety. And once again, we had a fire truck come down for something once. They could not maneuver. They could not get out. Cars had to be moved for them to get out. The ideal, in my opinion, would be to have another road come in the property that's being developed. Open it up to our road. We don't mind that. We would prefer more safety, and that would give two entrances to the subdivision where they could do that, in my opinion. And that's it. Thank y'all for listening.
Hi, Roger Stewart, and they pretty much said everything I was going to say. I was just going to give credence and testimony to what was said earlier about the safety issue. I'm very much a believer in private property rights, and I'm welcome the development of that property across. It certainly would look better than it does now. But back about 2000, 2001, whenever we had that huge ice storm, when it sounded like rifles were going off outside, when tree limbs were breaking, the cleanup process, we built a huge pile of wood and had a youth function over there, and we're going to dispose of all that with a big bonfire and put a little gasoline on it, not diesel, but gasoline, and it looked like Hiroshima had gone off again when that thing went off. And in the distance, we heard a distant siren, and it, we thought there must be a wreck on the interstate or some other big thing going on. Then it got closer and closer and closer. And actually somebody across the lake had seen that, thought the house was on fire, and had called the fire department, who came down that road. And what Celeste said is exactly true, that when it got down there, we were having a youth event there, sponsored by the church, and we did have to move cars for it to get in and turn. I don't know if it had to back out or what. We have a little turn circle at the end. But anyway, all that just serves to me in real time to suggest that, if the fire truck had been there, they had to get an ambulance in as well to evacuate somebody in the course of the fire, that would have been very, very difficult, if not impossible. You probably would have wheeled the patient down on a stretcher past the fire truck towards the 1734 to get them out. So I think that would be a good thing, too, for another entrance so that somebody could get in and for the road to be improved. So perhaps two vehicles, especially emergency vehicles, could get in there when it's developed. But I welcome the development. I mean, it certainly would be an improvement to the whole area. And anyway, that's all I have to say. We had a real fire truck down there, and it was very difficult to maneuver. So I'm glad I wasn't trying to get somebody out at that time. Thank you.
If you don't mind, can we have the other people from the community, please stand up down on 1130. So there is quite a bit of concern about what's going on. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you for coming, every one of you. First of all, I don't know anything about a development out there, a subdivision out there. I have been called by a couple of folks, and I don't think the commissioner in that area knows about this. But for those of you that aren't aware, the county did enact subdivision regulations many years ago. The objectives of those subdivision regulations, while there were several more, the primary ones were when somebody is breaking up a larger piece of land into smaller lots, whether it be commercial development, whether it be residential development, some of the basic requirements are minimum of 1 acre lots, make sure that there is power available to those lots so that someone who is not knowledgeable or unscrupulous doesn't sell lots to somebody and who later finds out, well, I can't even get power here. Same goes for water. Got to be sure you can get water to those lots. Got to be sure that there is adequate capability to handle a septic system there. And this is where Mr. Sanford has helped us out many times in making sure that a lot, while it may be 1 acre, there may be other impediments that keep it from being suitable for a house. So we want to be sure we've got power, sewer, water, adequately sized lots, and then one of the biggies or more expensive ones is to make sure that the road is built to county standards. And in the past, you could say, this is going to be a private road. We don't need the county to take care of it. Well, that was all well and good when the developer of that property was making those statements, and once they got all of those lots sold and headed out of town, then those residents were left with an inferior road. So we decided that any new subdivision has got to have adequate road, and so there are very specific things there that we look for in that road, and you can read those on the county's website under subdivision regulations and see what those requirements are. Now, when we talk about, and I happen to be familiar with where this neighborhood is, I don't know if everyone else is, but I'm aware of how narrow that road is. Problem that we're going to run into, and I'm not already making my mind up, I'm just saying, do you hold someone who is putting lots on now the north side of that road to a different standard than they were held to many years ago? I think you've got a unique situation here where there's obvious safety concerns, because we do want to get first responder vehicles in there, whether it's police, fire, ambulance. We want to be sure that they can safely get in and safely get back out. And right now, that is a tight fit there, because I've parked on that road a few times, and I know how hard it is to get by if there is even one row of cars there, much less two. But at this point, I am not aware of a subdivision request being turned in. Over the weekend, I called our environmental officer, Clint Bain. Clint's not here, is he? No. Who I asked, do you know anything about this? He said, I don't know anything about it. Spoke to my commissioner, Jeff Parchman, who I'll let speak in just a minute. So apparently you all know more than we know at this point. Here's what I will do for you. I will absolutely contact our city manager, and Ed and I will talk about this, and we'll figure out who's going to be in charge of this. I'd love for the city to be in charge of it, to tell you the truth. That would take a lot of pressure off of us, but he may feel the same way. But either way, we'll get this figured out before we go much further. I will contact whoever it is you think I need to contact that's, quote, developing this property, and see what their plans are and make sure that they understand. But beyond that, I can't speak intelligently about this project because I don't know anything about it. Commissioner Parchman, do you have anything to add to that?
Like I say, it's news to me as well. I can't speak on it at the moment until I know more about it, but I would like to lay eyes on it and check it out, do a little research on it.
Okay. Is there any other questions that we can attempt to answer? Okay. Well, again, that's the two things I'll do. If you'll let me know who's the developer, I'll give him a call, and I will contact the city manager and his sergeants and find out who needs to make that decision. And let's go ahead and decide this now, because I wasn't even aware that that had been taken into the city, or that there were plans to take that in to the city at that specific point. Anything else? Anyone else want to speak to that? But I clearly understand your concern. All right. Thank you. Anyone else want to speak on a non-agenda item at this point? Okay. Let's move to item number 2, consider and possibly approve minutes from the April 26th meeting. That was our last meeting of the month of April a couple of weeks ago.
Make that motion.
Motion to approve that set of minutes made by Commissioner Applewhite.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Parker. Any questions, comments about those minutes? If not, I'll entertain a motion. Excuse me, I will take a vote. All those in favor of approving that set of minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, let's run down a report from our commissioners regarding the road work that's going on in their precincts. Commissioner Parker, I'll start with you.
Okay. We've been trying to side cut on County Road 4260. We are planning on scabbing that road most of the way through from Cookville all the way to FM 1000, and been trying to get some patching done. We've still got a lot of potholes and all from the ice and snow and all. We're still trying to get around to them. It's been hard trying to get around all of them. When you get around to them, you got to start right back over. We had a few trees down last week, just minor compared to some of the other commissioners. We also last week reworked the entrance into Eastwood Hills on County Road 4215 and 4220. It was had got to the point that it was real bad there on 4215, and we widened the culverts out a little bit to try to give them a little more room to turn out into the road rather than having to pull in and just turn right straight out into the road. It was eating the road up pretty good. Got that all taken care of last week, and then the end of the week we scabbed down on what we call the case and loop on 4950, and I got trying to get some work done. That road was needing a lot of work, so we got some of that done. So.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Applewhite.
Well, the first week we've done a lot of patching and a lot of road work trying to get these get the roads ready. And last week we spent all week. We put a culvert in Monday, and all the rest of the week we was log haulers. We spent all week getting up trees and cleaning them all up. We finally got the rest of them. We got a few today. We're gonna pick up and be through with all of it.
Good.
All right, we had a lot of trees down with the storms. A couple of different storms blew through all the way up. Even Friday night went out, had to cut a big tree down. So it's been a mess. We had a washed out culvert head wall on 2300. We got that all repaired. We had a soft spot on 2675. We got that covered up. Well, there was 2 or 3 of them on there, real close together. And we was cleaning ditches on 1030. And generally we went, we patched and did some blade patching on 1140 and 1220. And some potholing just all over the precinct.
Okay. Commissioner Parchment.
Cleaning up trees due to storms, putting in lots of culverts, patching potholes, cleaning ditches.
Thank you. All right, before we move on to the next item, folks that have come and have already spoken on your interest, you're welcome to leave. You're welcome to stay. I'm not trying to push you out, but don't feel awkward in leaving. Everyone here is free to come and go.
Tim, say get up and leave. First one up.
See you.
Thank you.
Thank you, George. Thanks, Roger. Bye-bye. Thanks, Tim. See you. Okay, item number 4, discuss the shutdown to the Sugar Hill Volunteer Fire Department with possible action. I have no idea what action might be taken. I just have a couple of general comments here. And I did speak with both Michelle and Jerry Clark within the last 24 hours just to kind of get a status update so that I kind of knew what was going on. And we'll certainly listen to anybody that is here. This is an emotionally charged subject here. I mean, I have seen emotions really heat on this. I understand. I don't understand as much as you understand because I live in the city. I've got curbs and gutters and fire hydrants, and I'm not dependent upon a volunteer fire department. So my passion doesn't run as deep as yours, but I understand the subject matter here and the financial impact of losing a fire department. So I can assure you, I support all of our volunteer fire departments. I don't want to lose a single one. It's heartbreaking to me to see the closure of any department, and I don't want to see the closure of this one if it's going to mean that somebody is going to be negatively impacted. Now, I don't know what's gone on in all of the meetings that have gone on in the last couple of weeks, starting with the meeting where Chief Clark and the others that were in attendance voted to close that department. I wasn't there. I was not at the community meeting. I was not at any subsequent meetings. I've just been kind of kept abreast very superficially about what's been going on. And I know our county attorney has been involved. I know that Commissioner Applewhite has been involved, and this is tearing him up, I can assure you. And so I don't know where you stand in all of this. I don't even know who the names and the faces are of some of the folks that have stepped up and said, hey, we want to continue this on. So here's all that I know at this point. After speaking to Chief Clark, I asked him, what has been done that cannot be reversed? What has been done that we can't roll back? Have you made any notifications to the Secretary of State or anyone else that prevents this department from continuing on? And he said, I have put a hold on that. He said, I am trying to get the assets that were distributed back to this department. I may want to keep them locked up until I return from vacation because he's getting ready to be gone for about 3 weeks. So he told me himself this morning at 8:25 a.m., he says, Brian, I won't tell you that I didn't make mistakes. Perhaps I did, and I'm willing to admit that, but I have not done anything that cannot be reversed. Nothing has occurred at this point that would prevent this department from continuing on. That said, that doesn't mean that, it's not going to look different going forward. That doesn't mean that, we may have some hard feelings over some of the assets that may have been dispersed. That's all I know at this point. Before I get any public comment, Commissioner Applewhite, do you have anything that you'd like to add to this discussion at this point?
Well, like I said, this first I've heard he was going to go back and try to reverse the situation because he said he told me he wasn't going to, and we need a volunteer fire department out in our area, regardless, if it's through an umbrella through somebody else or whatever we need to do. I think we need to do it because we have a lot of folks out in Sugar Hill and towards Mount Sylvia and all that. And like I said, all I can do is do the best I can do to help get it back, and I'll do my best to do it.
Another comment I would have is this court is aware of this, and we sometimes need to remind ourselves, and you in the audience need to understand, there's only so much power that the Commissioner's Court has over a volunteer fire department. These were created by volunteers independent of the county. Now, the county does financially contribute to these entities. We contribute a fixed amount on a monthly basis, and that is our way of saying we support these entities and we want to see them thrive and succeed. We also pay run money to those members of those volunteer fire departments that participate and show up at these fires. It's not much. You don't make any money as a volunteer firefighter. It is a money-losing proposition, and these guys and gals that participate in these entities do so at a significant individual cost of both time and wear and tear on their personal vehicles And most of them, if not all of them, contribute what little run money they get back to that department so that it can continue to be able to replace equipment and have the best possible equipment that a volunteer fire department can have. But as far as us being the governing body over these entities, we're not. We have recently developed a contract, I'll call it, or an agreement, which is what it says in writing, between the county and these entities. And that was really at the request of our auditor, Barbara, and it was a great idea, and I still think it's a good idea to document what are the expectations that the county has for the money that is contributed to each of these entities, and what can these entities, these volunteer departments, expect in the way of support from the county. I think we did a good job of documenting what that is, but in no portion of that instrument does it say that the Commissioner's Court will tell the volunteer departments how they conduct fire service. So again, there's a fine line between what the Commissioner's Court can do, wants to do, is legally able to do, because we know that these volunteer fire departments want to maintain a certain amount of freedom in how they run their department. And we don't insist that everybody that's on that roster show up at every fire. That's not part of our responsibility. So, any other commissioners want to say anything at this point? Otherwise, I'm going to open up the floor and let some folks talk. Denise Reichert has filled out a form to speak. Denise, would you like to get it started? If you'll come up to the mic so that we can... Okay. Anybody that speaks, if you'll come up to the podium, again, I think we can all hear you in this room, but there's a lot of folks that will watch this on our YouTube channel and will want to hear what's being said. And again, if you'll just introduce yourself as a starter so our secretary could get that documented.
Yes, sir. I'm Ronald Collins. I'm president of the community center out in Sugar Hill. I've got a sinus problem, so I'm kind of hoarse. But I come today to find out what we as a community can do about getting another fire department up and running and take over where the other fire department shut down. I need to know about the finances. I need to know about how much the county can help and will help starting a new fire department. I want to know about what the money that's left in the fire department when this shut down. Is it coming back to y'all, or do we take it up? And if it's so, I want to know how. I want it all audited and checked out and make sure everything. I'm not saying anybody's done anything wrong. I'm just saying that to start up a new department, I don't want any problems and have problems be back up here in court with all this. I'd like to know about how much help we can get and how many volunteer firemen we need to have on the roster that can work with the fire department. I know we got about 20 people signed up, and I don't know how many of them can and will go through the process of getting to be a volunteer fireman. I don't know what the process of the fire requirements to be a volunteer fireman and how many classes you got to take. But that's what I'm here for today, is about the Sugar Hill Fire Department. And I'd like for the people of Sugar Hill to say, this is some of the ones that was at the meeting the other night that I called about trying to get another fire department up and running. I was the one that called the meeting because I was president of the community center, and the fire department is on the community center property. So if that's what all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ron.
All right, who's next? Would anyone else like to speak? Denise, you signed up. Come on.
I just want to make sure that we go back to where the Commissioners Court has met before. And back in, I believe it's 2016, we did the thing about having the lack of volunteers. Our community out there everyone's going to pitch in. We're going to help. We've already formed, like you said, we have a list. We have ladies auxiliary already. We've got people signed up to even do that. We'll pass out water or whatever we have to do to make it work. This is going to affect our house and property insurances, like from $600 up per household. And if you know now that your insurance is already high enough. Back in 2016, as I was going to say, we didn't know how many volunteers. Chief Clark was having a few problems getting volunteers. Sugar Hill is a tight-knit community. I've lived and had land out there 30 years. I'm still considered a Chapel Hillian instead of Sugar Hillian, okay? Because the families out there, most of them are related or have been there their whole lives, or their grandparents were there and all. They will work together. We will have enough support for our volunteers. The Commissioners Court in the past, they had a 10-year contract with the city to help with volunteer fire departments. That went back. The 2016 contract called for a payment of $390,000 to be paid to the city. The county agreed to increase the contract by $180,000 per year for the city to hire city firemen to help cover if we didn't have enough volunteer firemen for a day shift. I don't know if that ever transpired or happened. That was in the minutes from back then. In the 2019 budget, there was more money and all put in for the county fire department and all to work with the city. We had we vote on the budget that y'all do every year, and I'm not sure everybody understands the budget and how much money goes to your fire departments with Chief McRae and them through the city. The contract was $180,000 per year to pay for 3 city firemen to help with a day shift if our volunteer fire department people weren't available. We went back and then agreed to do $400,000 a year on that with the county fire department agreeing to pay with the city. And then that puts you to about $1 million in the original contracts between the city and the county for, like, the fire truck. We gave $300,000 on that. Was that 2019? 2020, anyway.
Done it a couple of times, actually.
Yeah, but the last fire truck, well, it was for 2020 because it was right before COVID. So we have about $1 million that goes toward the fire department. So if we have the volunteers on our list, we have the funds already budgeted, I think that if Chief Clark will agree to just make a transition, and if we have to change the 501c3 wording or change the name of the fire department in order to make it work, we have the people. We have the community that will make it work. We don't want to have hard feelings. We want to respect y'all and make sure that we do everything above board and right, and that's why we need an audit to know where everything is. The equipment that was dispersed, we need it brought back. There's a lot of details, but let's get our paperwork together. Let's work with y'all. Let's work with our community and help save, because this is not just about property insurance, it's about lives too. You know, you've got to have, from my house to Delwood Park, take about 30 minutes to get out there. I'm a mile from Sugar Hill. So I just wanted to let y'all know that. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Judge, I'm not on the list to speak, but I would like to, if that's
Sure.
appropriate with the commissioners.
Yeah, and if you'll just identify
My
yourself.
name is Galen Logan.
Okay.
Mr. Parker, let me ask you a question. You live on the east side of town. What's the closest volunteer fire department to your house?
About a mile and a half.
Okay. You own chicken houses, correct?
Not
Or
anymore.
used to?
I used to, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. Is the volunteer fire department important? Would you rather wait 5 minutes if your house was on fire? Or would you rather wait for Mount Pleasant to bring their fire truck out?
I'm in favor of the volunteer fire department.
Is it important in your eyes?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Same way it is with the community of Sugar Hill.
yeah.
It's very important. We're only 12 miles north of town. We've got a community center. We've got volunteers. They're willing to step up to the plate. Okay? My mom's house catches on fire. She's less than a mile. Do we have time for the city to show up? No. We have a brush fire. We have a pasture fire. Do we have time for the city to show up? There's going to be people tell you that we do not have credentials as fire chief. I'm going to tell you, they're falsely mistaken. There might be things that we might be lacking, but there's things that we can achieve. You're going to hear people probably today tell you that there was no assistance, there was no volunteers. How can 5 people on the board dissolve a fire department without community involvement? Is that not state funding? Is that not grants? So how can 5 people make that choice? The community fire department is not dissolved. It's not dissolved yet. So how can that committee determine where that grant money and those trucks and that equipment goes? Can anybody explain it to me? Can anybody explain how one person...
We don't govern that department, so I don't think any of us up here knows the answer to that.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying, there's going to be people that say that we're done running after these days this year. I'm here to tell you we're not. Just like Mr. Parker, there's a mile from the volunteer fire department. It's very important. That's all I have to say. Thank y'all for listening to me, and I apologize I did not sign on the sign sheet.
That's not a problem. Who else would like to speak? Come on up.
Good morning. My name is Colton House. During the community meeting, I was elected to be the assistant fire chief out at Sugar Hill. If that's something we can go forward with, I just wanted to make sure to put a name to the face. Also, any of us that are going to be the main part of the fire department that already have certifications, they're certainly available to any of y'all if you need to see them for any reason, any purpose. We appreciate the support. We're here for you, anything you need. We just want to make sure we do this right and make sure we get it going. It's something very important for the community. It's something that's been a part of me for a very long time. Beforehand, I was on the volunteer fire department for 8 years. My whole life kind of revolved around first responders. I started out in high school, I went through fire academy and EMT school while I was still in high school. At one point, I wanted to be a band director. I stopped at one wreck and it changed all of that. Currently, I work at the 911 center here in the city, Mount Pleasant, at the police department. It's something, like I said, it's always been a dream of mine, anything public service, anything first responder. It's something I've always been a part of and something I try and have pretty much in every facet of my life. Like I said, if there's anything you'll need as far as certifications, anything that we can provide for you, we can certainly do it.
Thank you. Good morning.
My name is Crystal Groves. I was also at the community center meeting. I was also on the volunteer fire department for 5 years out in Sugar Hill, and I wanted to go ahead and clear up the rumor. I did not move, and my husband also did not move out of our community. That is not the reason we got off of the fire department. My husband was the assistant chief. He still lives in the community. During the meeting, he was also nominated to be the chief if a new department decided to start forward. Also, I think it is a good idea to have our fire department out there. Since the medical has stopped, I am an EMT. I have people coming to my house and calling my phone for medical reasons. Even though I'm not supposed to go to their house, I still go because I do what I need to for my community. I also have all my certifications plans for wildland. I have everything. If anybody needs to see them, I'm more than welcome to let anybody see them. And I was also nominated to be secretary for the department and on the board, and I also was secretary and lieutenant whenever I was on the Sugar Hill Volunteer Fire Department.
Thank you, Crystal. Anyone else?
My name's Larry Maker, I'm the fire chief of the city of Mount Pleasant. I don't think anybody disputes the fact that there needs to be a volunteer fire department in Sugarhill, no matter what it looks like. But I do want to correct some of the misinformation that's been on social media being spread by some people that are out there. And start off with on ISO. ISO is the insurance service organization that some insurance companies, not all insurance companies, use to determine how much your homeowner's insurance is. Currently, Sugar Hill is an ISO 7, 10 being the worst, 1 being the best. So a 7 is a pretty good rating. However, that ISO rating only applies if you're within 5 miles of the fire station. So even if you're in Sugar Hill's district or any of the other districts, if you're not within 5 miles of that fire station, you're not going to get credit for an ISO 7. Now, like I said, some departments, some insurance companies don't use that. They just use other criteria. But if your insurance company is with an insurance company that is ISO, then you have to be within 5 miles of that station. The other thing is with the change in Sugar Hill, whether it's this department has new members coming into it. From what I understand from ISO is if they'll start over, the ISO 7 will go to a 10 until that department can prove that they can meet all the requirements for 7. So one of the things that they have to have for a 7 or a PPC rating with ISO is they have to have at least 4 people that respond to all structure fires that are trained. So ISO is one thing. Then training is the other thing. I know there were some comments made that the state requires so much training for volunteer firefighters. That's why it's a hard thing for volunteers to do. Well, the state of Texas has no requirements for volunteer firefighters at all. They do not require volunteers to be trained at all. Career firefighters, we do. We have the Texas Commission on Fire Protection regulates us. You get paid for it. There are certain standards, but as a volunteer, you do not. Now, the county fire chiefs, which we meet once a month, and the Chiefs Association recognizes that volunteer firefighters need training. And I believe all the citizens that the fire departments respond to expect when that red fire truck pulls up out front, people get off that truck, have training to make their situation better, whether they get paid for it or whether they're not getting paid for it. So the agreement that the judge talked about that the county volunteer fire department is going to sign or has to sign requires a training program, similar to what the state fire marshal's program is. It also requires a training of at least 20 hours a year offered by each department. Some of the things that it outlines is focusing on training for structure fire support, motor vehicle accident support, wildland vehicle fire. It also requires to submit a training report each month showing what they were trained on, who trained them, how many people were there, and who taught the training. The agreement also requires standard operating procedures to be set up for responding to a variety of incidents. All that has to have training as well. So, as we have in the past, we have offered the training to volunteer fire departments free of charge. All they got to do is spend their time. So the training is out there. I would also say, before firefighters can be dispatched to calls, they need to have the training before they go with that. So the other thing that I just want you to be aware of And we track the response of volunteer firefighters. We get the reports from the county that our departments turn in. In 2020, for the whole year, we showed out 114 firefighters in Titus County. 39 of those 114, which is only 34%, only made one out of every 4 calls, or made more than one out of every 4 calls. 75 of that 114 makes less than 25% of the calls. And of that 75, 12 of them make 0 calls. So far this first quarter of this year, we showed out 119 volunteer firefighters. Only 32 of those make more than 1 in 4 calls. 87 of them make less than 1 in 4 calls. And of the 87, 40 of them have made small calls this year. So I say that to say, the volunteer fire service in Titus County and in the state of Texas and the United States is continuing to decline. People don't have time. You just heard all the stuff I said that need training on. People are just not having time. So, it puts more of a burden on our fire department when we go out because we're not getting the help from the VFDs. So, I hope this group is going to become the new fire department if that's what they choose to do. Is able to make the calls and stuff. Because quite frankly, having 119 people and basically just a bunch of people's names on a piece of paper, that's not doing us or the county or the citizens. It's easy to be a name on a piece of paper, but it's hard to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning to go to call. Hard to make meetings, get all the training they need. And that's basically where we're at right now. So again, I just want to provide you all that information to make you aware of that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this subject?
My name is Sean Carrington. I am also on a board at the Sugar Hill Community Center, and I live in Sugar Hill as well. 2 miles from the volunteer fire department out there. And you can't tell this morning that Sugar Hill community is passionate about their community. The people in it are passionate. They're passionate about their community. They're passionate about having a volunteer fire department out there. And it's that reason that the very night that Sugar Hill Fire Department made the call to make the decision and have a meeting to disband it, that it set a fire in a community center, so to speak, that caused everyone to be appalled to make that decision to disband it. I'm certainly not here to throw blame, to shame anyone. That's not what any of us want to do. All we want to do is have our fire department continue. And that's why we made the move to have the meeting a few days after they decided to do that in the community center. We had tons of support show up because they are passionate. We had people sign up. We had people willing to get a new board going, new chief, a new assistant chief, and as Ronald spoke earlier, we had whoever it was, we had 20 plus people sign up to be volunteer fire department or fighters, and so we would certainly like to just pick it up where it's left off. That would certainly be a whole lot easier if we can do that. If we can, make that choice today or whenever it is, that would be awesome. But if we can't, and the choice is made to disband it and make another fire department, then that's what we're going to do, or we're going to try to do. And so we're willing to do that. But like I said, certainly we would like to just pick it up where they left off. If that's possible. I want to reiterate what everyone has already said. We are passionate about it. We want to do it. Not to disrespect whatever you said, Chief McRae. I appreciate the details, but in my mind, I would think that having just even a couple of bodies out there that's willing to help, if that's all that shows up, better than none. Maybe that's two different perspectives there, but either way, we're ready to do this, and hopefully we can make a good decision on that today. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak?
Can I say that something? Is there any way that we could umbrella the Sugar Hill like Argo did, or Cookville did to Argo? Put them up, take them under them like the Fire Department 1 and Fire Department 2 until they get it going, until they get their.
We also have some support from Five Star too. Marcus Williams is here from. He helps with Cookville and Five Star. We've talked about maybe they can fill in till we get this resolved on starting all over or
the city. They got
transitioning.
But like I said, maybe they could umbrella where they could start immediately instead of waiting. Could they do that, Chief? Can they umbrella? Can Argo or Five Star umbrella Sugar Hill? If they want to do it, they can go start over. They can start right then.
Yeah, that's not a question for the Commissioners Court.
Okay.
I think the Commissioners Court has the ability to determine whether or not a department continues to get their funding.
Okay.
We continue to pay run money, which I don't think there's anybody on this court that's not willing to do that. I haven't heard one thing spoken in this meeting that I didn't agree with. Again, I support the department. I want it to continue. I want there to be lots of volunteers. But again, like Chief McRae said, lots of volunteers isn't just a list of names of cheerleaders. It's a list of names that are willing to do the difficult things, train, and show up at these events. And in response, Mr. Carrington, to a statement that you made, I would think that two people that just show up that are volunteers, that might not be an asset. I think you might hear Chief McRae tell you that was actually a liability. If somebody is not prepared and has no clue what they're going to do, they're going to hurt themselves or somebody else. And so that's why our new agreement with the departments does make stipulations that training sheets will be turned in. And that's our way of ensuring that we're contributing money to an entity that is actually functional. And that's what we want. And that's what you want. We're all on the same team there. So don't try to create a divide between your community and the Commissioner's Court, or between the Commissioner's Court and any one department. That isn't, we want this to be a successful department. I would like you to never miss a beat. I want to continue to pay the run money and the fixed amount of money per month, but I want this to be also a group that is proud of their volunteer fire department and the turnout that they have at meetings, at training events, and especially at fires and other events that would require a volunteer group to show up. So again, I'm not going to hold against anyone the history of this department and their ability to get people to show up at these events and to training events. And I'm hoping that what's happened here in the last couple of weeks, like the phrase was mentioned, did light a fire under this community and under the group that are the ones capable of stepping into the shoes of these volunteer firefighters and that will show up at these events. So if there's anything specifically that you would like to ask the Commissioner's Court to do other than say, we want you to support us and we want you to see our credentials, I applaud you on all that. If there is something specific that we can do, but I'm not sure that we have a lot of ability beyond honoring our portion of the agreement that we've put together with these departments. We'll continue to provide the monies, but we can't provide an abundance of money to one department that we don't provide to the others. That wouldn't be fair. I think that the county has shown our commitment, and we replace trucks and rotate those throughout the department. And yes, we pay a lot of money to the city of Mount Pleasant, but we get a lot of service out of the city of Mount Pleasant. And when we're able to be a self-sustaining group of volunteer fire departments and individual volunteers, and we don't need the city, I'm sure Chief McRae would tell you that's a great thing. But it works both ways. We can provide support to the city, but we're very dependent upon the city right now and the professional firefighters. And again, this is not demeaning any of our departments or any of our firefighters. It is a sign of the times. Volunteerism is down, and what do we do when that occurs? Well, that means basically we spend more money on professional firefighters. And for the time being, and I strongly believe this, and this was the opinion of the consultant that worked for us back in, what was that, 2013, 14? 16. Hadn't been as long as I thought. The consultant said that based upon the size of Titus County, still the best way to provide fire service in this county is to work together and supplement from the city for our volunteer fire departments. That's as opposed to creating a county-run fire prevention and fire department. That's an expensive proposition if we're going to create a department that is paid, that is separate and distinct from the city. Nor do we want to create an emergency services district and have to tax the citizens of the county to be able to provide that. I believe, and so did the consultant at that time, that the best thing, at least for the time being for Titus County, is to work together and have a complement from the city of Mount Pleasant to be able to provide the services when volunteers are not available in the numbers that they are needed. But that doesn't mean they can do all the work. They certainly can't do it without being compensated. So when it comes time to renegotiate the contract with the city of Mount Pleasant, Chief McRae is going to provide for this court, here's what the activity has been as far as providing help from the volunteer departments when we go out into the county. And if he shows that those numbers are declining and declining and declining, and he's having to provide more and more manpower and equipment to those fires, it only makes sense that he's going to want to be compensated. Not want to be, he has to be compensated for it, because the city of Mount Pleasant isn't in the business of providing fire service to the county with tax dollars that are provided by city residents. It doesn't work that way. Okay, I don't know that there's any action today. I was glad to hear what I heard from Chief Clark, that nothing has been done, again, other than the distribution of some assets, which he is going to try to get back under control of the department, whether that's a radio or whether that's breathing equipment, whether that's a vehicle. And he told me, again, he has not shut down any 501c3. You know, as far as what Chief McRae says about the ISO rating starting over, why is that? If there's nothing more than a change of personnel, why does ISO see this as a distinct event?
The ISO rating in the past was based on that department's response, that department's people, and the training they had, and all the responses they made. So basically all of that's going away to get a new set of people in there. Then they're going to have to be reevaluated. The training, their ability to show they can get 4 people to structure fire, all the other check marks that have to be done, that when that membership of that other department goes away, this new one comes in, they got to reevaluate. We got to have, looks like the same equipment and all that, but that's just a small piece of it.
All right. Thank you. Anyone's welcome to speak.
we've got 6 over, a new fire department has been a firefighter or still is a firefighter that's got qualifications, been through training, that's on the new board of the fire department that we're trying to get up and running. The rest of them have not had any training, but there is 6 on that volunteer fire department, from my understanding, that has had all the training, some training, part of the training, and they will be working with the new fire department. Thank you.
Good.
My name is Marcus Williams. I am volunteer in Titus County with 2 different departments. I'm assistant chief at one, I'm a captain at the other. Yes, Sugar Hill needs a volunteer fire department. Everybody in this room agrees with that. What I had talked to a couple of people about, our chief and others, is the umbrella system. Could we get Argo or 5-Star or Talpa, whoever's the closest one, Argo and 5-Star work together, if we both meet up with that area that's covered, then to me that's the quickest way to get a fire truck back in that area, is for us to go out there and work together with that community to get them started under umbrella, under another fire department until they can get their people where they need to be. They've got 6 ready to go, that's great. What they would need to do is probably become members of one of the other volunteer fire departments and run under that. If in 2 or 3 months you see they're all going and they're good to go, then turn it over and let them have it, and we'll back out of it. If they need us to stay there and support them, help them get them trained and help them make their calls, that's great. Sitting here in this meeting, there's 7 people related to me on volunteer fire departments. And we can't all go. We don't all go. There's times we don't go. And if those 7 don't show up, Chief can probably tell you they're probably some of the most active members on our departments. And if all those 7 can't go at one time, you've got nobody to go. And when you have no volunteers to go, then it's just not going to work. How often is it that none of the 7 of us go? Very seldom. But there is times. And then you have to look at times like the other night when we had a house fire out of Tri-Lakes. And then we send people from each department to that fire. You still got to have people to cover your own station in case something happens in Cookville or somewhere else. So just because we didn't go to the fire didn't mean that we weren't there to go if we had another call in our district, an accident or something else that we need to do. So there is people staying back for that reason. A couple of people go to the fire and then take the tanker or man spot. If they call back and say they need more manpower, then yes, we would go. But that's just the thought I had, that maybe that would be, it's all about getting them protection back out there as soon as we can, however we have to do it. If they can pick up and run from where they're at, and that's the quickest way, then that's great. It's just about getting them some protection out there as soon as possible.
I think that's a very good idea for right now, and that gives you a chance to bring this new group up that may have a lot of desire and willingness, but maybe needs some training and organization. I think that temporarily is a great idea. That needs to be worked out by those 2 surrounding departments and make sure that those guys are willing to do just that. But I support that completely. I mean, and again, that's something that should be worked out in the chief's meeting. Again, I don't know organizationally how you all make that decision, but I can assure you that I support that. I think that's a good idea. I think to expect these guys to hit the ground running and immediately be a functioning department that's capable of providing all the services that any other department could is probably unrealistic. The desire may be there, but the ability and the training and the experience and the wisdom may not be there yet. So, very good idea.
Mike, you want to say anything about it?
I'm willing to help either way. The only
Could somebody hand Mike a mic?
Mike Logan, Chief of the Argo Fire Station. If we do something like that, the only thing I have a problem with is all the people are gonna have to fill the paperwork out and become members of our department, mine or his or somebody's, in order to be covered under the insurance and all that business. Well, that's just extra paperwork. If Jerry's willing to turn that deal over, why can't they just go on and carry on?
We hope so. We hope they can. So you're saying the new volunteers within the Sugar Hill Department should become members of either...
If we run at the substation, so to speak, they have to become members of Argo or Five Star or somewhere to be covered under insurance. But if they can just, if he's willing to turn that deal over there, why couldn't they just become members of Sugar Hill deal and keep going?
I'm not capable of answering that question. I don't know.
I mean, that's my question. I mean, it's a lot of extra trouble.
I think you as the chiefs and the chiefs meeting is where that discussion should start, because you've got a lot of wisdom in that group, including Chief McRae, to help figure out what's the management structure going to be of this new organization. But as I told you, and as Chief Clark told me, he's willing to do whatever he can do to see this continue. In other words, he's made a pretty significant change from where they were a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. But that's just my thought, because they're going to have to become members of our department, mine or his, or somebody's, to be able to cover them under insurance. And you're looking at your 30 days doing all that. They'll have to show up to a meeting, turn in their application, fill it out, and you got to do a background check on all of them. I mean, it's just a lot of trouble to go to, and they're going to have to go to it again, so I'm sure what I'm saying.
Maybe. I don't know. If I had the answer, I'd give it to you.
I mean, that's just my opinion.
Okay. All right, Golden House again. I think some of our only issue, I believe we all agree on the same thing. Sugar Hill should have a fire department. We should have it structured right with proper training. I think our main issue is being able to, first of all, for the community at least, to be able to get into the fire department and be able to see what equipment we have, where we need to start, and where we need to go to. You know, we don't have any basis right now of what we have, what we don't have, what we need, you know, what kind of training we need to line up. I think it's just an issue of being able to get in the fire department and get it started. Everybody that's joined is more than willing to take the training. We've already been talking to some of the forestry service people and having classes either out at the Sugar Hill Fire Department or participating in the city's training. I don't think any of us disagree with doing any of that. It's just being able to get into the fire department and see what we have. At this point in time, I don't believe it's possible for us to get in the fire department. We don't have anything turned over. And I think we're just trying to make sure we're doing everything legitimately and right.
Thank you. All right, any final comments? Thanks, everyone, for being here. For those of you that are new volunteers in this department, I applaud you, I thank you, and I wish you the very best, and will cooperate with you any way that I can, and I think these guys will as well. All right, we're going to move on to item number 5, an update on repairs and improvements to the Justice Center. Okay, just an update from my perspective. We're still awaiting Prefert Complex Designs to complete the work that we have asked them to do. They've given us a partial billing for the work that they've done thus far, around $10,000. And again, we're asking for a final product that is descriptive as far as a complete scope of work that we're asking to complete the repairs, and I'll call it enhancements, at the Justice Center. So again, we've narrowed the work down to be done to include what do we do to get back to exactly where we were before, meaning replace insulation, replace sheetrock, paint, and get carpet back on the floor. And then we've added on another significant layer of enhancements to that building. What can we do to that building to improve it since we've got everybody out of there? What other work can we do over there that wouldn't normally be done because we have 2, or actually 4 functional offices in there? And I think we've pretty well agreed on, generally speaking, what the scope of work to be done is, and Preferred Complex Designs is helping us with some of the more crucial questions like what needs to be done to give adequate insulation for that building, to have new lighting, LED, modern lighting in the ceiling of that building, and how much work do we need to do as far as increasing the tonnage of air conditioning, and then what do we do with the flooring? Do we get carpet back in there? Do we replace it with tile? Do we go with something completely new? And then what other exterior work needs to be done on the building, including the vestibule that is a source of heat and air coming into the building when you don't want that. So I don't have any finished product yet from Preferred Complex Designs. When we do get further along, then we'll sit down with all the officials that work in that building and their employees and the commissioners to decide, okay, what on this wish list do we want to include in the final bid package, and what are wishes that we really can't justify. That said, Steve, what do you have to add today? Did you?
The only thing that I'm aware of is that we need to do is receive the final estimated or the final cost of the remediation process.
Tell us about that, if you would.
About what took place.
Well, what is the remediation cost? It's going to be covered, we assume, by the insurance.
By the insurance, that's correct. That's what it costs them to come in and strip the baseboards, cut the walls up 2 foot, remove the mold, actually put the building into an enclosed filtration system to pull all mold products out, and of course that's remove and clean up and set up manpower. Hopefully I'll get something maybe this week from Interstate on that cost.
So you haven't seen that total yet?
I have not seen that.
Okay. And again, that was an estimate between $80,000 and $100,000, an estimate.
Between $80,000 and $100,000. Now I'm not sure if that $80,000 to $100,000 at that time including the replacement of it as well.
Right.
But we do have a bid on what it would cost for them to replace it.
Okay.
On record.
Okay. All right. Thank you again for your relocation efforts, and grateful to have Preferred Complex Designs helping us. They have the expertise that we don't have. And so as soon as I am told by Glenn that they're ready to move, I'll let you know, and if we need to have an intermediary meeting between our normal court meetings, we will, to speed that process up. Okay. All right. Thank you for the update. Item number, there's no action to be taken there. That's information only. Item number 6, consider and possibly approve the reappointment of Francis Neal to the Lakes Regional Mental Health Mental Retardation Board of Trustees for a 2-year term. Ms. Neal has graciously served on this organization's board for quite a few years. She is ready, willing, and able to continue that. It is the suggestion of Lakes Regional, and it's my suggestion that we approve her and thank her for another couple of years that she's willing to give.
Make a motion, we approve her.
Motion by Commissioner Fitch is made to approve the reappointment of Francis Neal to Lakes Regional.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Parchman. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Item number 7, consider and possibly approve a little modification to the contract for interpreter services. This is after many weeks of going back and forth, an actual meeting with the new interpreter who owns the company that's going to be providing interpreter services for the county through the end of September. She originally bid that job, and as a reminder, decided that that bid really was not enough compensation to provide for the travel time that she and her employees would be spending traveling back and forth from basically the Tyler area up to Mount Pleasant. So she told us, I'm willing to honor my proposal through the end of your fiscal year, and if both parties want to continue that after September 30th of 2021, she will have to modify that contract to include paying them for travel time in addition to just an hourly fee. So we understood that, and we are here just to talk about this contract that would expire September 30th. She has an issue with the county requiring that they carry their own workers' compensation insurance, and in order to get them on board to get this contract ratified, finalized, and enforced through the end of September, it is my suggestion that we waive the requirement for the service provider to carry workers' compensation through September 30, 2021. She understands and agrees that after that, she would be willing, if everything else is going well, to provide that workers' compensation insurance at their expense. Now, would that result in a price increase to the county? Possibly so. I don't really know how much workers' compensation for an administrative position like an interpreter would be. I think it will be at the low end of the premium scale. But I'm okay with waiving this for the time being, and I would like for us to be able to make that change so that we can get her signature on this contract through the end of September.
Make a motion, we approve it.
Motion is made by Commissioner Fitch to make one modification to that interpreter services contract to remove the requirement for workers' compensation insurance to be carried.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Parker. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item number 8, discuss work on the Winfield Cemetery Road with possible action. Commissioner Fitch.
Okay, I was contacted by Winfield Cemetery Association about possibly spreading some oil sand on their road in the cemetery, which kind of makes a couple of loops in that cemetery. Those roads were reworked about probably 20 years ago, and really, they're in really good shape. They're just going to require some oil sand or some cold mix and spread it with a backhoe, and then our trucks can drive over it. The people driving through there slick it up and pack it down real good. So the issue was, could we do and help that if they bought the material? So I called Attack Lawyers, and yes, we can. They are a historic cemetery. I have engraved over 100 years old in it. It's been recognized historic. It's also just an association. It's not a perpetual care setup cemetery that's set up through the state. It's an association community board member ran cemetery, and we can work in there at will. So all we're going to be required is just a few hours work with some equipment, and they're going to buy the materials. And the question was how much would it cost in there? I'm just guesstimating they're going to spend about $4,000 to $8,000 on material, depending on how far it goes, and it's just a basic blading off the cemetery road. So they're not sure how much. I hadn't contacted them back. We're just going to get it approved, and they may do, one load this year, a load next year, do a little at a time. Their roads are in really good shape anyway. They just want to level them up and slick them up nice. So the lawyers at the tax said to do this, it just needs to be approved by the Commissioners Court to do it. And for as minimal little job and for the community benefit that it's going to take, I would make a motion to allow Precinct 2 will spread their dirt and fix the road for them, cover it up.
Okay. Motion to do that is made by Commissioner Fitch.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Parchman. All in favor of approving Precinct 2 to do this work on the Winfield Cemetery Road with their materials, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, we've got some equipment buy and sell decisions here, a string of those, beginning with item number 9. Consider and possibly approve the purchase of a Cobelco SK85 CD excavator through the buy board, which again gives us the ability to purchase through the buy board at pre-bid prices so that we don't have to go through individual bidding with different companies. The price on that piece of equipment is $117,467.98. Commissioner Parker, what else do we need to know about this piece of equipment and what it's used for and the necessity of it?
Well, I've been working for going on 3 years now trying to figure out something to do about a new excavator. Mine is just worn out, that's all it is, and all you can say for it. And I've done a lot of researching on different ones, and this one here I think will serve the purpose that we need it to do. Have talked we've got Byron Underwood with us today with Bain. I've talked to Byron more than once and talked to several others too from Ronco and different places about these excavators. And the best deal I've found, Bain has that cost that you gave there, Brian, was $117,467.98. The original cost on it was $114,670, and then with the options, it was it added another $20,000, and then they took off or discounted $37,919 off of that, which brought it to the $117,467.98.
You actually had about $38,000 or $39,000 in options there. Rubber tracks, boom, 7-foot arm. Looks to me like you've got two sections, published options and unpublished options. Is that right?
Yes.
So the 114, you added about $38,000 in options. You discounted it, well, actually more like $39,000. Then you had a discount of $37,000. Then you have some prep charges and delivery charges to yield that $117,000 figure.
Yes, sir. That is correct.
Okay.
Byron, you got anything that you need to say about that or anything? Would you like to comment on any of that?
No, sir. I just, I'm Byron Underwood. I'm the governmental representative for Bain. I do appreciate Jimmy. We work real hard to try to get him everything he needs, and we appreciate the opportunity to come and help you with this. I think this machine, he's getting his ditching buckets and everything he needs to operate to do what you want it to do, and got the rubber tracks and everything to keep tearing your road up. So we worked hard putting this together for him, and I think it'll do a good machine. Of course, we'll service it and support you in all ways. We've got a good warranty. Comes with this machine, 2-year, 2,000 hours. So appreciate it. If you have any questions or anybody has any questions,
This is brand new, or is this
Yes, sir. Yes,
brand
sir.
new? Okay.
Brand new.
But thank y'all for considering us, and we look forward to working with you.
Do the other precincts have a piece of equipment similar to this?
John's got a great all, but
I got a great all, and they're like $360,000, $400,000 machine. They're just very expensive. It's kind of out of the option.
So you'll be the
anymore
only
to
one? He'll
try
be
to
the only
approach
one
that.
with this? You don't have
Yeah. So some other counties are doing that. that size equipment, and I'm looking forward to see how it works because the price is right and so handy, real handy.
Okay, y'all support Jimmy's decision to get something like this?
I make a motion, go ahead and purchase equipment through Bain Equipment.
Okay, motion is made by Commissioner Fitch for Precinct 4 to purchase this, we'll call it a excavator through the buy board, $117,468.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Applewhite. Any discussion on this? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Item number 10, consider and possibly approve the sale of a 1998 Schaeff, how do I pronounce that?
Yeah, Schaeff.
Schaeff excavator, and this is the one that you're telling us was worn out?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How do you propose to sell this? Any idea what something like this is worth?
I really don't. I haven't talked to Dale. I'll go through Auctioneer Express.
Okay, this will be an auction item is
Yes,
the
sir.
appropriate
It will
way
be an
to sell
auction
it?
item. And the next item also will be in there with it. It's a trailer that we have had since we bought the new one 2 years ago, and with a hydraulic dovetail and all on it. So it's just been sitting out there and we don't use it anymore. So both of those items will be, if y'all agree, will be run through the Auctioneer Express.
Okay, as opposed to a private treaty sale or to another municipality? Okay, well, first of all, let's consider and possibly approve then the sale of that old excavator owned by Precinct 4.
Make a motion to sell it through Auctioneer Express.
Motion, Commissioner Fitch.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Applewhite. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Item number 11, my description there is not exactly accurate there. Just a 20-foot gooseneck is a pretty generalized description. A more accurate description of that piece, including the serial number, is it's really a 25-foot trailer. I've got a serial number that ends in 9169, and it's really probably more like 25 feet in length. Is there anybody that has a problem with the fact that my 20 feet is a little bit too short and I didn't use the word utility trailer in there? Barbara, you think we're okay on that?
I think we're okay on that, Judge. That item was purchased in 1991. I believe that's before Carl even became the county auditor.
It's real old.
I'm not surprised that some of these, we've had that for so very long. I'm not surprised that some of these descriptions are a little bit different, but the serial number is the number. I confirmed that with Jim that he wants to sell. So
Okay.
we know which item to take off the inventory first.
Okay, good. All right, so Jimmy's explained to you this is another piece of surplus equipment that's served its useful life.
Make a motion, we sell a piece of the trailer through Auctioneer Express.
Motion to sell through auction made by Commissioner Fitch for this utility trailer.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Parchman. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Item number 12, consider and possibly approve the sale of a Caterpillar RM300 reclaimer to Guadalupe County. This is a county-wide owned, or kind of all the precincts utilize this piece of equipment. And why are we selling it, and why would we sell it to Guadalupe versus going through the auction process, if somebody can explain that?
Okay, the Guadalupe County called me here last week, latter part of the week before, I guess maybe it was, and they said that they understood that we had this RM300. We have all talked this back and forth about how big this machine was. It's really a big machine to try to get down some of our roads. I've used it on one road since we bought it, 3 years ago, I believe it was. January of 19, when we bought it. It's so big, you've got to, I mean, it covers the whole road. You hadn't got room to turn around, and if you just want to do a small section, you got to go all the way to either to the end of the road or to a big area to turn it around, because there's not a whole lot of room to turn it around. It's real expensive This other sheet that I have given y'all here is the comparison from Jeff on cost. The top part of it there, the 2020 RM300, is the overall cost last year for repairs and parts and stuff was $18,000. Our old BOMAG that we have got is, which it's smaller, but it does serve the purpose. We've used it numerous times. The cost on using it was like $7,778, $7,778, and it's just so expensive to use. And I just wanted to bring it before the commissioners and see if there was interest in us setting a price for it, and where I could get back with Guadalupe County and tell them that and the way they found out about it, I was talking to Rick McGinnis with P2 Emotions, and I just said something to him one day about it was so big that there wasn't too many roads that I could get it down and all. And he said, y'all need something smaller, and I said, yeah, I probably do. And that's how they found out about it. His salesman said something to Guadalupe County that we might be interested in selling it. And I told, when the commissioner called me last week, I told him, I said, man, give me a few days, let me talk to run it through court and see what the guys want to do. If there's enough interest there, I did call R.B. Everett about a BOMAG machine. They've got a used one that we can get for somewhere in the neighborhood of 300 and I think it was 338. I don't think I brought it with me this morning.
3,300 or 1,000?
348, I believe. Maybe 348.
I think that my recommendation would be to ask them, if we do want to do it, would be to ask Guadalupe County $385 for this one. We give $396 for it. Wasn't that right, Barbara?
Yes, sir.
$396 for it back in 19.
And we can come that close to the original purchase price?
With the prices of equipment right now, I think we can probably, or at least come down to where we could get something, comparable to a smaller machine that is comparable to what we can use. So.
But can we sell this without going through an auction process?
Yes.
We can to another county entity.
Another county you can. To another municipality you can.
Okay. That'd be great if we could recoup that much money. So you all haven't given them a price yet?
No, sir. I told them, I said, I can't give you anything until I...
Are the rest of y'all willing to sell this piece of equipment?
Yes.
Because every time you pull down a pull truck, it knocks something off of it, a mirror or light or something like that. It's so big.
And the teeth are expensive on it. They're about
You
twice
can't
what the
drive
BOMAG.
anywhere.
Yeah.
It's got to be hauled, and our roads are so narrow and whatnot where we carry it to. It's just.
The BOMAG's a lot more simpler for employees to run it too.
And they may not would give that much money for it, but I would ask them that, and if they say no, ask them to give us a price. What they would, if they want to come look at it and give us a price on it. It don't have but 1,674 hours, I think, is what it's got on it right now.
Do you want to set a minimum price that we can approve now, or do you want to approve a final price at the next court?
Y'all tell me what you want to do. If y'all want to set a minimum price on it.
I hate to set a minimum price when they can see they can watch this and find out what we'll take for it, and they'll just go to the minimum.
Okay.
Let's ask and see what they'll give us, and then come back and approve it.
About what then?
To see what they would actually give for a piece of equipment like that, what they would sell you a piece of equipment like that for.
To trade it in, or,
Yes.
yeah, to trade in price or whatever?
Yeah.
No, I have not gone to.
Just to make sure we're not selling ourselves short on it, possibly.
Then why don't we just approve you negotiating a price with them to bring back
To
for
bring
court
back,
approval?
that'll be fine.
And if we need,
Yeah, that'd be
if
good.
they need it quicker and we need to have a short meeting to do that, we will.
Okay. That'll be fine. I just need to, I hate not to let them know something that, that they called and
Yeah,
asked
I don't want
about
to
it.
miss a buyer if we can. Okay. Well, you want to put that in the form of a motion
Yes, sir. I'll
to
put it-
consider and possibly approve Jimmy negotiating a price to sell the Caterpillar reclaimer to Guadalupe County to be final approved by the court.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Fitch. Any discussion, comments? Yes, ma'am.
What are we going to do with those funds? That was purchased out of our Fund 19, which was the unit road system, which we now closed that. So if we sell this, are we going to put it a quarter? Are we going to put it all back into that one fund for y'all to purchase another piece of equipment at a later date?
We
Well,
want
is
to put
is
it into
what the-
something where we can buy
Yes.
another piece of equipment. We may have to put it maybe in the maintenance department fund or something, or we have to start a new line.
I can put it in Fund 19.
Yes, you
Okay,
can put
yeah,
it back in
19.
19.
Why don't y'all think about that, and
For sure.
that'll be part of the next court decision.
Okay.
Yeah, and hopefully we can not spend quite that much money on something else, and then maybe have money available then we'll decide what we're going to do with that. Okay, got the motion, got the second. All in favor of Jimmy negotiating a price to sell this reclaimer to Guadalupe County, say aye.
Aye.
Item number 13, consider and possibly approve the purchase of a used BOMAG machine. Who's going to discuss that one?
I don't think we really need to do anything with that until we see what's going to come about with this. I just put it on there just in case that we did.
Okay.
I think we just probably need to just table that one until,
Once you do that.
In the future, whatever you do, discuss it with them. Can they let us have a test run on one of them to see if we like it?
I would think they probably would, yeah. I mean, we may have to lease it for a month or two, kind of like I done with Byron and them with this excavator, the other excavator that I had, so.
That's a good idea. All right. Your motion would be to table this?
Yes, sir.
Motion to table, Commissioner Parker.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Applewhite. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that take care of all of our equipment? I think so. All right, welcome, Gary, to Commissioners Court once again. Gary's going to discuss a few items on here. I think I've got the 4 basic bullet points identified. Gary Luba, H.W. Lochner is here. Gary's helping us with the purchase of right-of-way land needed for FM 1735 Chapel Hill Road. He's also assisting us with utility relocation, and I think that some of the items here are some items that we will need to be approving as we go. We don't have all the parcels ready to make offers on, but tell us what we need to do today, Gary.
Okay, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Since I was last here, I think I brought like 8 appraisals, and we went through those. Well, since then, we have 12 new ones that have come in, and so that leaves us like about, I guess, 12 more after that to get to our 32, and those should be coming in pretty quickly, so we can probably bring those to the next, court meeting. I can go through those, so I'll just, like we did last time, if you want me to, go through like the land area and the amounts and all that.
And each of those appraisals needs me to sign off on those, and I think we previously authorized me, but let's do that again today as he brings these appraisals to us. If you'll authorize me or any one of you to sign off on these appraisals, which is just part of the legal requirements.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, tell us what you're appraising
so
here.
what we got in this last time is Parcel 6, and their probable relocation because of not being able to put the septic back. It's not that they don't have the acreage, it's just that all the improvements on there leave no room for it, and you would have to probably demolish some good improvements in order to make room for that. So
We're talking about 1.013 acres, and it's 149,341. And so the improvement value is 21,715. The land value is 17,221. But the damages is what's high because of that, having to, really economically damaging the remainder property. So that's 110,405. And I had brought up, TxDOT is kind of on hold on the relocations right now, probably till their new fiscal year, September 1. So these will have to really wait until after that, because what we do is we get the relocations, housing supplement calculation figured out and approved before we make the offer. We do it all together so they can see the whole picture.
And that's important because the relocation cost, when we actually have to move somebody to a different home, that cost, just like the Harts Bluff project, is paid for by TxDOT.
Yes.
But what you shared with me the other day is they've got a freeze in place until first September 1 or into September?
Just until September 1 or a little
And
bit
we
after.
don't know what's going on at TxDOT to cause them to make that decision, but that's essentially going to delay this one parcel, which in effect delays
And
the
a
whole
couple
project.
others. Yeah, a couple others. Yes, sir. So, we'll get going on that when we can, and I don't foresee that there'll be any real holdup with our project on that, because we're only talking about four months or so. Okay. And the next one is Parcel 7, and that one is, not a lot to that one, is 0.158 of an acre. Okay, so the land value is $2,686. The improvement value, which is like a gravel driveway, is $2,048. And so the total value there is $4,734. See, the next one is Parcel 9. Okay, that one is kind of small too. That's 0.104 of an acre. Okay, the land value is $811. The improvement value is $1,633. And the damages, which is really just kind of cost to cure for the fencing, is $215 for a total of $2,659. If y'all have any questions, just stop me whenever you need to. Okay, the next one is Parcel 11. Size of the land is 0.410 of an acre. Okay, so the land value is $2,932. The improvement value is $14,773. And what that includes is like fencing, stock wire, entry gate, paving, concrete and asphalt, and landscaping. And then there's cost of cure damages there for $979 for a total value of $18,684. Okay, next is Parcel 13, and that one is, it's got an empty house at the front that's being bisected, so we're having to pay for that with the land. So that's 1.9 acres. So the land value is $12,131. The improvement value, which includes that frame house up front, is $79,872. You got damages, cost cure in the amount of $4,036 for a total amount of $96,039. There's no one in the house, but they, kind of store things in it. Nobody to move from that house. Let's see, the next one is Parcel 14. That is 0.585 of an acre. So the land value is $4,388. The improvement value is $16,864. And kind of with that, they have a special preferred fence, barbed wire fence, a metal gate, asphalt paving, landscaping. So
And then there's some cost to cure damages there, $1,426 for a total value of $22,678. See, parcel 15 is next. That is 0.912 of an acre. Okay, the land value is $6,840. The improvement value is $43,235. And what that includes is like a special metal fence, barbed wire fencing, a special, automated gate entry, concrete paving, and landscaping with, various trees, grasses, shrubs, hardscape items, things like that. And so there's cost cure damages of $2,929 for a total value of $53,004. Okay, next is parcel 16. That is 0.1599 acres, and the land value is $11,513. The improvement value is $16,233. That includes like landscaping, irrigated growing, hardscape, concrete paving. And then, so there's a cost cure amount of $300 for a total value of $28,046. Almost getting close to the end here. Let's see. Okay, the next one is land size 0.790 of an acre. The land value is $5,702. Improvement value is $6,659 with cost secure of $291. And that includes like metal pipe gate, barbed wire fence for the improvements. And then you have, so a total value of $12,652.
Gary, what was the parcel number on that one?
That one is 19.
19?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
And what was the total on it?
The total?
12,000.
Okay, the total was $12,652.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, here's one, almost there, a few more. Parcel 22, now that is the tri-sud, the land area, so they've got the water tank and everything that were there on that triangular piece of property there across from the church. And so that is 0.197 of an acre. So the land value is $1,241. But the improvement value, what's happening is everything above is really being appraised in the appraisal process. So all those improvements are $195,732. So that includes like the building there, concrete block building, pressure tank, water system equipment, water system pipe, fence, chain link, double gate, and then you got a walking gate. So that's what those include. And then you got, damage, they're damaged out there. So that's the most of it right there is $252,337. So your total amount is $449,310. Now I think I explained this before, but what Mr. Gann told me was they have to have a new facility there operating before they take the old one out. So to keep the water system going. And the only other thing, now we have the utility coordination. The rest of that would be their underground water pipes, up and down the highway there. But the main thing is we pay the majority of this stuff through the appraisal process. Any questions on that? Okay. All right. Looks like I've got a couple more. And these are just like temporary easements. So what that means, we'll probably just make sure we've got sufficient time, just about 4 years is what TxDOT wanted to have, and after that property reverts back to the owners. They're small, very small. They're at the, I'm trying to think of the county road number. It's the first county road, I think, to the right, past the store on the corner.
40.
Is it 4705?
4705, I believe it is, isn't it? Or 4205.
Okay.
Okay, the one temporary easement is .027 of an acre, so that's like just $204. And then there's the other temporary easement that's on the other side, opposite side of the road, and that one is .035 of an acre, $268. There's $5,700 here in probably cost secured damages because there's a pond there. So that's, got to be fixed after the improvements are done to widen that mouth of the county road tying into 1735. Okay, that's all the appraisals here. Any questions on those?
And those just need a signature.
Yes,
right?
sir. Mm-hmm.
All right,
Okay.
let's take that as item one, and we'll just deal with these individually.
Okay.
He's got the right-of-way parcel appraisals there for this group. Let's get a motion to approve, including giving authority to me or whoever you want to sign those for Gary before he leaves today.
I'll make that motion.
Motion's made by Commissioner Parker.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Applewhite. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Surveying issues.
Yeah, there's some property there that's kind of seemed like the surveying, the existing surveying is kind of wiggy in there. So what's happened is the neighbor bought, he's parcel I think 14, but he bought the abutting land, parcel 10, and so there's a carve out there that's got a mobile home on it. And from what we show, it doesn't look right on our right-of-way maps from the information that Texas surveyors found. So when that property was bought, the whole property for parcel 10, there's a brand new plat that was prepared and everything. So what that will do, what we may need to do is have TxDOT to resurvey, because that's going to kind of make no really new parcels there, but just to resurvey, so that'll take some time. And it'll probably be like a parcel 10, part 1 and 2. And then what you got there is that carve out for the mobile home, which is like .67 of an acre. And I think what probably is going to have to be done, TxDOT's looking at it, so I think there's probably going to have to be like a correction deed or something from the grantor to the grantee to fix that, because it's not jiving with the right-of-way map that's already out there filed in the courthouse.
Who's going to fix this?
Sir?
Is that TxDOT's job to fix this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So what that's going to do is probably delay it for a bit until they get these surveys redone, and then we can move ahead with finishing the appraisal reports on parcel 10 and 12. So I just want to bring that up just so y'all know.
That doesn't need any action.
No, sir. Let's see, what do we have next?
Title commitments and offers.
Yes, title commitments, they're still kind of trickling in. I have about a total of 10 now. So it looks like it's starting to pick up where they're going to be coming in. So that means I've got 22 more to go. But it looks like they're working on it.
And you can't even make offers until you have title
I made
commitments.
one offer because I've had the title commitment with it.
But you have to have that before you even make an offer.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, make sure that we've got everybody right on the title, Make sure that everybody, you never know when there may be somebody out there that wasn't caught or something. So you don't want to have to do it over again. Okay. So we got 10 of those in. We need 22 more. So I'll probably drop in on the title company after we're done here and just kind of go by. They know me. I haven't seen them in a while, so just kind of, for good measure, I guess.
Anybody we know up there, we need to request that they expedite or just keep things moving?
I'll probably do that. All right.
Any action item on that?
No, sir. Just to report it.
Okay.
And, so I do have an offer out, and hopefully I'll
The ones that are priority parcels, that's the ones I'm needing the title commitments on, and I can get all those out. We've got, a lot of approved appraisals, what we did last time, and then I got TxDOT to sign off on their part. So I just need those title commitments, and we can get going on those. So, but everything seems to be moving okay,
All right. D, supplemental work authorization.
Yes, sir. I've got copies here if y'all need to look at it with me or whatever. But and what happened was, and this is operator error here. When I was on our first agreement, when I was keying in the total number of hours for appraisals, it was supposed to be like 280, and I hit like 230, and I didn't catch it, so it populates out of my sheet, so it's going to be a wrong figure. So I caught that later, and so I'm adding that back in. Plus, after our initial contract, TxDOT added 4 more parcels, which were 2 TEs, and then there was 1 parcel split with what Gary Neal used to own out there, I think is his name. And
Created 2 parcels out of the one.
Yeah.
Gary's
2 different owners
deceased.
now.
That his estate then needed that.
Yes.
They sold part of it or something.
Yes,
like
sir.
that?
They actually split it, and they sold it to 2 new owners. So that created another parcel there, and then there was another parcel 18. So we've added those in. So what it includes is our our fee for those few parcels, and also we weren't sure at first. We know TxDOT pays for the relocation costs, the replacing housing payment, but as for our fee, we weren't sure, at the time who was going to be paying that. So TxDOT said we will pay y'all for that. So we're on a separate contract. So I removed those fees out of our initial contract.
Because TxDOT will now pay for that?
Yeah, they'll pay our fees, yeah, instead of y'all.
Okay.
So, anyway, so I took those out. And so that leaves a net change of $38,800. Yeah.
Above what your original estimates, I'll call them, were?
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
All right, any questions or comments on that? That one, I think, does need approval, just to acknowledge the fact that he brought this to our attention, and that does change the original figures that we dealt with, and we'll just ask that you shave somewhere else and make up for it.
I've got copies here in case anybody wants to look at it. I don't foresee anything else, happening like that. I don't see them creating a need for any other parcels unless, like, something like that happens where it splits, somebody.
What's the total parcel count up to now?
It's 32.
32, okay. All right. Questions, comments, or ready for a motion when you are?
I make that motion.
Motion to approve the adjustments in the total fees in this supplemental work authorization. Is that something that needs to be signed?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We'll both sign it. Yeah.
All right. Got a motion?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Fitch. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, Gary, as soon as we're done here, I will get that supplemental sign and then sign off on all of your appraisals.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Any questions?
Thank
Okay, item number 15, approve our monthly, or our every 2 weeks, our oral and written reports.
Make a motion.
Motion is made by Commissioner Parchment for approval.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Parker. Any questions, comments? All in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Consider and possibly approve treasurer's report.
Make that motion.
Second.
Let me pass you both these 2 documents for your signature. Item number 7, let's see.
16 got a vote on it.
6, got a vote on that. All in favor of approval of the treasurer's report, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Item number 17, approve budget amendment, right? Just have the one, number 2021-028. And this is, I'll just read the reason for amendment. District Clerk Carlock has requested a new line item to cover the estimated cost of renting space at the Civic Center to be used during jury selection. There's not sufficient space at the courthouse annex to meet current social distancing requirements. This amount will cover the 4 juries that are scheduled between now and the end of the fiscal year. We're talking about a $2,040 amount that will come out of our general county contingency. So that is the one budget amendment that needs your approval.
Make it motion.
Motion to approve, Commissioner Parker.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Fitch. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Item number 18, sign pay orders and approve payment of bills.
Make motion, fair bill.
Motion is made by Commissioner Parker for approval.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Applewhite. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, we're down to our closing comments. They've all gone now, but I very much appreciate those that came today to speak on a couple of different subjects, specifically the volunteer fire department issue. And I certainly wish nothing but the best for this group of new volunteers that we hope has risen up with commitment to this thankless task. And if there are decisions that this group needs to make in the future, I hope that we will make those carefully. I don't think I have anything else. Commissioner Parchman, I'll start with you. Any closing comments? No. Commissioner Fitch?
I just like to say I support the volunteer fire departments, and whatever this transition is going to take, we're here to support them, and we just need to get the legal answers, and hopefully we can just turn all those assets over to this new volunteer fire department. That's what I'm hoping for, and we can go on down the road with fire protection out there. So, thank you.
Commissioner? Okay. All right. I think that brings us to an end. If we are done, let's have a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion, second, Commissioner Parchman. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you, everyone.